Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Meet the Author. I am Kwanzaa Bridell, the co-director of the Bridell Family Foundation, and I'm so excited to have you all to join us tonight. And I'm even more excited about the person who is going to be with us for several reasons. After we were discussing with him, just because of the book and the books that he has written, and because of the things that are going on. So I'm not even going to belabor it any further. Let me introduce to you Mr. Hakim Tate. Hello, Hakim. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be invited to your show.
Thank you. So the reason I said I was excited for a couple of reasons. So here at the Bridell Family Foundation, our mission is to help children succeed in a level of success in their education, in their academic careers, and beyond. And we do that by promoting literacy. We try to give them free books. We encourage them to read. We introduce them to authors such as yourself. And we just want to surround them with books, knowledge, and love, because we know that when the village comes together and shows support, that our children can and achieve the greatness that they're destined to. And right now we have 17 children, I believe, who are currently reading this book. So it came at a perfect time. We have our reading buddies who are reading this book, and I think some of them are going to be joining us. So we'll do some shout outs to them in a little while. But that's just one of the reasons that makes this even more exciting. And because you came strongly recommended by our education director. She was like, you've got to read this author and the great things that he's doing. So take a minute to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, I'm 38 years old, college graduate of Montgomery College and University of Maryland, University College. Born and raised right here in Washington, D.C. I say right here in Washington, D.C. It's the northeast section of Washington, D.C. in the area called Trinidad. Trinidad was pretty much a tough area back in the day, kind of changing due to gentrification and stuff right now. But, I grew up in that neighborhood. And after studying in school and stuff like that, I had a child and wanted to do something different. I always had a love for law enforcement, so I became a cop, and a cop um, was a tough choice to make. It was between that firefighter and what do you call it, military. All pretty good careers, somewhat exciting if some people would say, but nonetheless, I picked up the career in law enforcement, and I've been doing that for 18 years now. So I've seen the city change. Probably not as much as some people who worked before me have seen, but been in the front lines and helping to keep children, families safe. So outside of that, I've been writing music since I was 9 years old. I've always had a love for music. So in my books, you'll find that the you know from page to page and sentence to sentence is very rhythmic, somewhat to Dr. Seuss or Green Eggs and Ham, Sam I Am type of book. But if you ask me, not that corny, because all of the stories that I write have a really good backdrop to it. But about me, again, I've been working with youth in a nonprofit organization called Live Your Dreams Youth Group, which I founded more than 10 years ago. And in that organization, we teach kids about entrepreneurship and leadership and, life skills and making good decisions. So I've always been involved in uh, youth advocacy and, just, trying to be a all around good citizen and be an example and a mentor to kids that's coming behind me.
Awesome. And you said the name of your group is Live Your Dreams.
Yes, Live Your Dreams Youth Group.
Okay. And I like that you said make good decisions is one of the things that you work on teaching the children. So we say it jokingly now because my daughter is a little older. She's 15, but my sister whenever she speaks to her in the morning on her way to school, she's always like, okay, don't forget, make good decisions, you know.
Yeah.
So at that age, when she was younger, she's like, okay, I get it. But now it's kind of like, okay, make good decisions. So I like that. Live your dreams youth group. What made you want to do the youth group?
Well, when I was just a teenager, I'm a twin, so I lost my twin brother at about age 16, and that was a really tough time for me in life. Around just being a teen, is like, oh my goodness, it's just something new, and you're just trying to find your place to fit in. So I got into some trouble, and it was a nonprofit organization like yours and mine and other ones that are out there that stepped in and put their arms around me and gave me exposure to other ways of life, other things outside of the hood. So those different mentors, certain Black men, crime prevention partnership, to name a few, Young People on the Rise, which was a group that came a little bit before me. These organizations were pivotal in making sure that I had good examples of productive and positive citizens to see, and seeing those were, you know, it was really important. And unfortunately, they don't get as funded. They don't get funded as much as some of the larger organizations do. So a lot of those
Exactly.
organizations, they kind of, they fell off, and now the youth are just out there, trying to figure it out, and not really having enough mentors or positive examples in front of them. So, if I could save one or two or 10, as many as 10, and be an example for them, then, I wanted to make sure I did that.
That's awesome. And we do need more people like you, especially now, and the kids always say as adults, well, you don't know what we're going through, or they think that we haven't been there. And we really have been there, done that for a
Yeah.
lot of things. But for some things, we haven't been there and
No.
done that. The children today are going through so many different things. And I didn't even think of this question until we were talking in the pre-show um, about you being an officer. But because your book is called A Race with an Officer Friendly, I think it's important in this day,
Hmm.
today, at this time, especially on the heels of what happened yesterday, that we let our children know there are some friendly officers out there. Um, I know of myself personally, I've had experience with officers. My brothers have had experience with officers, and the outcome is not always where we would like it to be. There is the racial violence, the racial profiling, and that sort of thing. So to see an officer who looks like us, who is actually
Yeah.
being friendly, that's always a good thing, even though, sometimes you just get hit with the badge. So how do you, as an officer, talk to your son about
Mm.
the things that are going on today? And I know that's not about the book, but we're meeting you, the author. We want to dive into you. So if you don't mind that
Oh,
personal
definitely. Yeah, so personal space, and personal space is good because I believe the more we share our thoughts and our ideas and our experiences, then, the better we can, we can share and give light to what things really are. So for me, sharing it with my son is, so I have a daughter that's 20. She just turned 20, and I've shared it with her pretty much all her life. And my son's 6, so sharing it with him, he has an excitement for law enforcement, and to hear him, say things like, "Daddy, I want to be a police officer when I grow up," things like that. It warms my heart because he understands, and the stories that I tell him when I come home are those of, I was able to help this family. The mother and father got into a fight today because the father spent the money for the food. There was no food in the house. And this could have been a domestic violence situation, but it wasn't, because the root of the problem was, food, and
Oh, yeah.
resources. So, to be able to problem solve and see and share those stories, it's different from what he could have heard if it was a different type of officer. Some kids come home and hear stories of, "I had to lock this man up today, and I hope they never let him out." or
Yeah.
he can't be rehabilitated, and things of those natures. So it's important for me to show him that he can be an officer to make a positive change and get to the root of problems and problem solve in the community that he has a personal attachment to, because he lived there, or he grew up there, or because he's of the same race, or share the same culture, or may just as simple as like the same music, whatever particular thing this officer finds to create a rapport with the people that he served. All it takes is that one thing, that one little thing, and that can be as small as a song, for them to have a rapport and start to begin to understand each other and really get to the root of the problem and provide resources if that's necessary. So, those type of conversations that I have with him. And again, he's excited. Daddy, I want to be the police. Runs around with my hat and, put my vest on and, drags down the house, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's a great introduction because he can also share it with his young friends that, all cops aren't bad. And my dad is one of the good ones. And, like I said, especially during this time, it's important that we see that. And, there's good in everyone, or there can be good in everyone. So let's talk a little bit about the book. So you let me know that you are a twin, and I'm sorry for your loss. Because that was going to be one of my questions. What made you write about twins? So you're not just a twin, you're also one of 10, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the book, but what was that like?
So I'm one of 10, but I'm like number 3 from the bottom. So I'm older than somebody, okay? All right, I'm just not the baby, but being one of 10 was it was fun. I've always had somebody in front of me to share their experiences and say, hey, look, little bruh, don't do that. I did that. It ain't turned out good. And sometimes it hit different when I say hit different, meaning like, it feels different. It hits different when it comes from a sibling versus your mom and dad. Your mom and dad might tell you till you blue in your face, as mine's did, yo, don't do that. But when a sibling or somebody tells you, like, yo, it says, like, don't, or my brother, and they share their stories and stuff, then it's amazing. It's amazing. So yeah,
Yeah,
I was so glad I was so glad that I was I was one of 10 because I'm forever appreciative to my sisters and brothers for experiencing things and getting into trouble and getting in front of things that I didn't have to experience. They saved me so much pain and heartache and mistake because I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for every single one of my brothers and sisters, even my younger sister.
Well, my brother reminded me, Will Smith once said, parents just don't understand. So you're right. Sometimes you have to get it from your siblings. I come from a large family like you, but I'm one of 7, but I didn't have anybody to lead the way. I was the first. So, it's like, and then I guess I was able to share with them, but it's funny that you said that. We were having a conversation tonight and I was like, but I did it last time. I went first. They were like, well, that's what happens when you're the oldest. You go first and lead the way for us. So
it is.
My brother just said that to us tonight before this interview. So, and I like what you said that you were able to rely on them. And as a parent, I'm a parent of 3. I rely on my children. Sometimes I feel like I'm giving them too much, but I kind of like, my youngest, as I said, is 15. And every once in a while, I have to shoot off a mass text to her and her older brothers because, they're grown. Like, get your sister before I hurt her. Or she did XYZ. How about you tell her some words of encouragement? Because I think she might hear it better coming from you. And I love the bond that they have because she does go to them and they go to each other. And I hope that they got it from what my parents instilled into us. And it seems like you heard the same thing. Growing up, they were my best friends. When you go to, back then it was going to Pizza Hut or McDonald's, you were only allowed to invite 10 people. So by the time I invited my siblings, what friend is going to come? And a couple of good cousins, like nobody else can come to the party. So we always had our own party. And even now we know that, if something happens, it's Team 7. That's what we call ourselves. It's
There you
Team
go.
7. So
Yeah.
we're always there together. So we've talked about you, and I've enjoyed the conversation with you and the insight that you've shared. But let's talk about this book. So you've written several, but this one is The Twins' Adventure: A Race with an Officer Friendly. So what made you just call him Officer Friendly instead of saying Officer Tate, or giving him another name?
Well, because I want every officer to feel that that's who they obligated to become. You know, and so when reading the book, I hope that it becomes a tool for police departments and their community engagement efforts
Mm.
to reach out to kids and to encourage them to have fun, positive conversations. So it was really important to not give them a specific name, but for it to be um, adoptable by every single officer that has that book in his hands or her hands.
Awesome. I love it. Awesome. I love it. Um, wow. To be adoptable by every officer so that they can be an officer
Yeah.
friendly. That speaks volumes. This book is about the twins. So and it's in a neighborhood, but we have a question.
Hmm.
Is Nikki your daughter?
Nope.
Nope. So if you want to know why I asked that question, you're gonna have to get the book because we're not gonna spill it all.
Nah.
But why that's not the question. The question was, why the fire department? What's that about? We tell children don't judge a book by its cover. I was
Yeah.
expecting to see a firefighter in here.
Yeah, so it's a community effort to take care. As police officers and firefighters are first responders. They're normally the first two organizations to the scene when troubles. 911 you can get that's the number for both of them. So, although the police are there first, sometimes you call 911 and it's a medical emergency. The police still come 9 times out of 10. But it was important to have the firehouse there to show the connection between the two. Outside of that, that was really the backdrop of my home. I grew up at 1339 I Street. It's right on the brink of Florida Avenue, Trinidad, and I Street. And the back of my house, sitting in that courtyard that you see, the twins are standing in front of.
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation to be had was my son and other kids was that during the 80s, because I'm born in 82, during the 80s, I heard every single night, it had to be every single night, the fire engine. It could sometimes it's the windows is open and because mama want to save money on the electric bill, so the windows are open and the breeze is coming in, and so is the sound of the fire truck. And so what that does is that gives us a sense of what was happening during the 80s, and where was these fire trucks going. How often were they going? So it brings light to the conversation that now this parent that's reading this book, you know, when they asking these questions about, hey, what about that firehouse? You know what I mean? So it's just encourage parents to tell the stories and share the experiences so that those kids will remember those stories and those experiences when they get that age. And if they ever approach that journey, they can handle it better. It's like, oh, I seen this, I heard this before. So, the firehouse is a part of, those couple of things.
Okay, so you said gives the parents an opportunity to tell their stories and tell their adventures. So is
Yeah.
this story a true story based on one of your adventures, or is this a story based on your imagination?
Oh, that's part of my imagination. The part about the officer being there, I wish he was there, but instead, during the 80s, we had a crack epidemic and we had a lot of
Mhm.
violence, and we had so cops were out fighting crime or trying to stop, what we would used to refer to as addicts. We used to call crackheads, try to stop them from, stealing or robbing or, committing a crime. So no, but I wanted an officer to be there. I wanted to know that the officer was there and had a personal investment in that community, the same community that I lived in, you know?
So
And
growing
so
up,
that
you
was
didn't
important.
have an officer friendly.
No, no, not in my community, not that lived there. I didn't meet an officer friendly until I was in junior high school, and that officer friendly is actually still working for the police department now, you know. And she was in junior high school, and she worked as a school resource officer. So that was my first sign of meeting an officer friendly. But
Awesome.
by then it was kind of too late. I needed to know officer friendly at age 4, age 5, and I needed to be comfortable enough with knowing that, he meant well and had a personal obligation or investment in the same community that he was serving.
Yeah. I won't say too, I don't know if I want to say too late because it seems like, that was the perfect timing for you, everything in its time and in its season. So
Yeah,
probably would have been really nice to have him or her earlier, but she made an impact and look at you now. You are an officer friendly.
you're
So
right.
this particular story, the kids are out playing and they just need some help. And Officer Friendly is the first adult that comes on the scene, so to speak,
Yeah,
while they're looking to race. And it just brought me back to maybe a year or two ago when the police were trying to show that they were more engaged in the community and they were, all the not YouTube, all the TikToks were going viral where the police officers are dancing with the children or dancing
yeah.
with people and doing different things. How often does something like that happen to you, Officer Friendly? How often do you get to be Officer Friendly?
Oh, that's every day, every single day. See, it's in my heart. Okay, so every single day, I try to meet someone new or come in contact with somebody that I've met before and have a great experience. You know, so I mean, that's just it. Even if the call comes in and it's something bad, problem solving. Like, hey, look, let's think through this together. Because sometimes people they don't. It's just too much for them to think about. But when they got a
Yeah,
fresh set of ears and a different heart and different set of different mindset on the scene with them, that's all weaved into officer friendly. But like yesterday, I was out on the beat, and this kid had legitimately his mama's scarf tied around his head like a bandana. It was like orange, gold, and white. It was like one of those fake Versace joints. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay.
I had to make though. It could have been.
Okay. Well, a real Versace joint. Same difference, but he riding his bike up and down, and he purposely pops a couple of willies in front of me. You know. But by this time, I'm filling out what we call run sheets or whatever. I'm filling out, some documents or whatever. So I look up out the corner of my eye and I give him the attention that he looked because nobody else is out there and he's just by himself. I guess because a lot of kids, some kids, I can't say a lot or a little, but some kids don't go outside a lot. They don't like bike ride and all that kind of stuff. They into the games, to each his own. So he likes to ride bikes, and so I finally looked up and said, "Hey, that was pretty good. Let me see you do another one." And so I engaged him and I encouraged him, and to see the smile come on his face, this kid was bright. So he popped maybe about 12 additional additional little willies. Like, nah. And so the thing that I liked about him, that each time he tried it, he wanted to get better, you know?
Yeah.
And so that to me felt good because it was like just that little bit of attention gave him the encouragement to know that somebody's watching, somebody cares, and that he can do better. He ain't just pop a willie and say, nah, that wasn't good enough, so I quit. He kept going until he felt
Wow.
like he was pleased, or he seen a smile on my face and I was pleased. And each time I kept encouraging him. So those little things that he might not get that at home, you know?
Exactly. So speaking of encouraging, excuse me, speaking of encouraging the youth. So as I stated in the beginning, our focus is on helping the children with education, and we start with doing that by promoting literacy. So I just want to take a small segue from our talk with you, just to give a shout out to some of our students, our volunteers, and our current reading buddies who are reading your book. I think when we spoke to you, we just came off of March, which is National Reading Month. And we partnered with 3 elementary schools, and they were reading all the month long, 31 days. So I just want to shout out to them. We had West Salisbury Elementary in Salisbury, Maryland. We have Buckingham Elementary in Berlin, Maryland, and A.J. Lewis Greenview Elementary School down in Columbia, South Carolina. And not only did those students read every day, 31 days, they tried to read at least 31 minutes a day collectively with them. And then we had a few other friends and family members who formed teams during our readathon. Those students read over 91,510 minutes. So as an author, I just wanted to have you help us congratulate them. And it's an
Yes.
exciting time. That was March, and there's so much going on. So April is National Poetry Month. I don't know if you were aware of that, but when I was reading your book, it had that hint of poetry. You said it was because of the music you write. But April is National Poetry Month, and then it's also World Book Day is on April 23rd. So I just wanted to shout them out. You gave us a couple of books and a few other things to give away. So we have several people reading, and we've got a couple of people who are asking some questions. So I want people to take the minute to drop in some questions. I want you guys to be able to talk to Mr. Tate. And in the meantime, drop your names right now. So if you are watching us live, we're going to take 30 seconds, Mr. Tate, just 30 seconds for them to drop their name in the comments so that they can be entered in a drawing. So win not just a book, but you have a book bag and you got a whistle, and there's a whole bunch of other fun stuff that Mr. Tate, our Officer Friendly, has. So we're going to give you 30 seconds. Are you guys ready? Yes. So I saw some names dropping, and I saw someone said, "Can I enter my kids?" You most definitely can, because we know they're in there with you and they can't type it in themselves. So go ahead and keep entering those names. Everyone who drops their name will be entered into the contest to give away the books. We're going to do those on Saturday. I think someone commented and said they didn't meet their Officer Friendly until they were what did she say? She met her Officer Friendly not until she was a 911 operator and able to get to know detectives, officers, and EMTs. But before that, not really anyone to engage with. And I said I kind of relate to that. I didn't grow up in the Washington, D.C. area, but I still had encounters with police officers. So I had a question and I just lost it. Oh. Well, I guess that question didn't matter. So we were just trying to figure out, you were telling us a little bit about, you told us a little bit about you. The names are still dropping in. You told us a little bit about you and that you were writing music. Tell us a little bit about your writing process.
So, first it has to have meaning, like it has to be on purpose. Like, if a specific topic comes to mind, I'll, really think about it. I'll sit and I'll think about it for a while, and and sometimes not even that long. Sometimes it's just a few minutes, and then from that I'll just flow with it. Sometimes it's on an airplane on the back of a napkin, and sometimes it's on my iPad, and sometimes I'm just typing away. In a text to somebody that I'm close with and say, hey, look, this is my idea. And I'm just going because I'm just trying to get it out of my mind and get it on to some form of paper. And then I'll go back and I'll edit it. And then I'll critique myself, Then I'll ask somebody else to critique me. And then I'll have some form of debate about it to make sure that I'm in my right mindset. Because sometimes we can overthink things, but you want it. I like to have mine as simple and plain. And with this particular book, the Officer Friendly one, it was really well thought because I wanted to make sure that I included what I felt would be personally, what I felt would be a nice picture of what law enforcement could look like.
Yes.
How it could work, So that was really important for that particular book. And that's my second book. the process of the first book was mothers, how mothers are so important. You know, the name of that book is God Bless the Mother. And, you know, as we approach Mother's Day next month, I encourage everyone to grab it. And if you don't have little kids, grab it for somebody that has kids and you think they're an awesome mother and you think they may be struggling with some things. This book serves as a reminder of all of the sacrifices and all of the praise that you will get for the sacrifices that you make for nurturing your children, you know, because even after nurturing, like you're always nurturing their minds, you're nurturing their spirit. Like the mother has a huge responsibility when it comes to a child, you know.
Mhm.
And so this book serves as an encouragement. And for those who don't have it, like buy the book and send me a note and I'll take it to a woman's shelter or family shelter and give it to that woman because she may not never know. She may didn't have a mother that taught her how to be a mother. And this book talks about what good motherhood is. So
Okay,
when we
so
become
I
responsible,
want to pause right there because I don't know if everybody heard what you just said.
mhm,
So first, I want you to tell them where to buy the book.
okay,
Tell them where to buy the book, and then I'm gonna circle back around to what you just said. So where can we
okay.
buy not just this book, but your other book?
So
How to be how to, it's called? No, that's not what it's called. Would you bless the
God
mother?
bless the mother. God
God
bless the
bless.
mother. Yeah. And so all of my books, you can go to HakimTate.com. That's simple. HakimTate.com. And there's links to Barnes and Nobles, there's links to Amazon, there's links to Target, where you can buy all of my books. But the particular book that I'm talking about for next month that I want to encourage everybody to look into is because it's Mother's Day, is God Bless the Mother. And if you don't get it for yourself, I encourage you to go to my IG page at sold SOLD underscore BY underscore Tate and leave me a note and tell me, hey, I want to purchase a book for a woman in a homeless shelter with children because I want to encourage her. You know, she may not have heard or learned what it took to be a mother, and this book will give her a jump start. This book will encourage her, and it's something that she can read to her kids, and it will be forever a reminder to her of the sacrifices that she make and the things that she will be rewarded with for these sacrifices. You know.
Awesome, awesome. So first, we're going to buy the book, and the book we want you to get is God Bless the Mother. I think it's showing there on the screen now. God Bless the Mother by Hakim Tate. And then he said for us, he gave us another challenge. So don't just buy this book, but go to his Instagram, and you're going to go to his Instagram. It's at sold underscore by underscore Tate. Leave him a message when you buy that book, and he's going to take it to a shelter and give it to another mother to encourage her. And I think that's a wonderful Mother's Day gift. Um, I'm going to take this back to the foundation and see if we can get a couple of books from us to do just that, because it's very important to give back and to pour into the communities and to let everyone know, you know, to let those mothers know that they have support and they are loved. And I tell new mothers, you know, being one of 7, and I have 3 of my own and nieces and nephews, there is no book. People give you books, but you know, and I mostly tell it to my teens, you know,
Mhm.
I was a youth coach and a mentor. um, your mom is different than somebody else's, your dad is different from somebody else's, you know, they might not get it right, but they got it their way, and they're all doing the best that they can. So you can't say, oh, I wish my mom did it like your mom
Exactly.
did,
Yeah.
because you have no idea what experience she went through or he went through to get to that point.
Yeah.
So we were not talking about that book, but I just want to, if you could put it up on the screen again, the name of the book is God Bless the Mother. And I'm going to encourage everybody in our viewing audience, if you're looking at this now, if you're catching the replay of it, to please go out and buy that book, God Bless the Mother, and then send Mr. Tate a message through his IG. If you can't find him, the information is here. We're going to put it up on our social media pages, and he's going to take one of those books to a lady at a women's shelter. So I think that's wonderful that you're willing to do that. I think we might have a couple of questions or comments. coming from some of our viewers. So she said, I noticed when my little kids were like 3 and 4, they loved to engage police officers and thought it was so great to see officers who could show the good. And I think she also said teen pregnancy centers as well would be a good place to give those books to. So please go out and buy God Bless the Mother. We want you to buy the Twins Adventure as well, but on the heels of Mother Day, because Mr. Tate asked us to specifically, that's the book we're going to push. So before we go, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments, because I'm sure that you guys have something that you want to say. Mr. Tate, we thank him for joining us. I'm going to say to my Reading Day volunteers, we have a group of high school students who work with our children, and they are in their 6th week. They're on their 3rd book, so they've done 2 other books prior to being a part of your book. And those are our high school students. Some of them are doing it because they were voluntold. Some of them are doing it because they're volunteering, or some of them are doing it because they need community service hours. But if you guys are watching, and I know some of them had a session tonight, if any of our volunteers are looking, or any of our reading buddies, make sure you drop your names in the comments. Ms. Kwanzaa has something special to you. You know, I always promise y'all stuff, and I got to get permission from the foundation to pay for it. But you know I got your back. So drop your names in the comments, especially my high school volunteers, because they put in so much work, and they've been really working hard. We had a book drive recently, Mr. Tate. We collected over 2,000 books. Wow. And we're taking those books on the 23rd to our partner schools and giving them away. And we had the high school volunteers at our Landover office for 2 weekends in a row, entering those books into the system. So we're celebrating World Book Day on April 23rd, and we encourage everybody to pick up a book and celebrate with us on that day. Awesome. So, questions for you. We have a question. Are any of your siblings police officers or in law enforcement or EMS?
No, they had encounters, but no. I was the first one to get into law enforcement.
Okay, so you led the way. Yeah. Awesome. So you've told us about God Bless the Mother. We're going to put that on our page as well, as I said. But what else are you working on? What do you have coming up next?
Oh, so coming next is the Twins Adventures, a day in a park with Rocky the dog. Oh yeah, Rocky the doggy. So that's gonna be really big. I pushed the date back because I'm working on dog treats to go with the book, and working with a dog trainer to create book readings for dogs. Because some people can't have kids, and some people don't want to have kids. Some people just are avid dog lovers, and I believe it's a market out there for books for dogs, and dogs that want to be read books, and doggy parents that want to read books to their dogs. So, in the good spirit of having fun, and kids that may want pets or have pets, this book, it's about the twins meeting a dog named Rocky in a park. Okay. And I ain't gonna give it all away. You got to get it.
No, don't give it all away. We want people to go out and buy. We want people to go out and buy the next book. So we won't give it all away. But the name of the book again is The Twins Adventure: A Day in the Park with
Rocky the Doggy.
Rocky the Doggy. We definitely want them to go out and buy that. Again, you can get all of Mr. Tate's books anywhere books are sold, but you can go directly to his website at HakimTate.com and pick them up there. We're going to encourage you to get the book, God Bless the Mother, so that we can bless as many mothers as possible out there going into Mother's Day. My dog watches TV, so she gets it.
There you go. See?
We have what we call a grand dog. Whenever my stepdaughter, my bonus daughter, goes out of town, we always try to see who's going to get the dog. So either her mother will have it, or sometimes it comes here to us, and we're like, "Wait, you went out of town? What happened? We didn't get him to come over," and we buy him clothes, and he goes out and plays. He's spoiled.
So you can have a fashionable dog and a literate dog too.
And a literate as well. Yes.
Literacy for dogs.
What are your closing comments to our audience before, to our readers out there, to the parents who are there? What would you like to say in closing?
So what I like to say is, I learned from my second oldest brother, Farad, to always learn something new. Every day, try to find something new that you can learn. Two, find it in your heart at least once a day, once a week if you can. If you can't do once a day, to think about how you can help someone else. You know, because when you talk about social responsibility, that's exactly what it is, helping someone else. And the thought itself about helping someone else, even if you can't do it, is sometime enough. You know, just to think about it.
So we want to make sure that we find it in our heart to always do something to help someone else. That that one I said, I know that was the second one you said, but my mantra is if I can help somebody along the way, then my living will not be in vain. So we want you to find a way to help somebody else and always take a moment to learn something new. And most importantly, we want you to keep reading because reading is fun.
Yes. Thanks
Thank
for
you for
having me.
doing this, Mr. Tate. You guys have a good night.